Hello everyone and welcome to Animation Pilgrimage, where we watch every single animated film in chronological order, but only the theatrically released ones, otherwise we never finish.
I mean, we still may never finish.
It's true. I mean, it's kind of the nature of the beast. The
further we go,
the
more movies
are
there
made.
are.
So it'll never end. But either way, we have gotten to the end of a significant chunk of movies.
It's time for the awards!
It's the Lizard and Cat Award ceremony! We are talking about all animated films that we watched from the years of 1966 through 1965. This is 25...
69.
69. What did I say?
You said 5.
66 through 69. Why
Yes.
did I say 5? That would be backwards in
It's
time.
kind of like 9.
Yeah. Either way, it is 25 films that we watched in this time period.
That's a lot of movies.
It is, and we are going to list them all out now, so you know what movies we're talking about, because there's always the chance that in the future we'll go back and we'll watch another movie or two from this time period because they are found, and those won't be a part of this award ceremony.
Right.
Either way, I think we should start with that, then
Okay.
we'll get into some trivia, and then we'll get right into the awards that we want to award.
For the awarding.
the awardination.
Anyway, we started off with Alice of Wonderland in Paris from 1966.
Also from the USA.
Oh, yes. USA film.
Next up was The Daydreamer, which was also from 66. This was by Rankin Bass from the USA, but it was also co-made by Japan because they have studios over there too.
Then Cyborg 009, 1966, from Toei Animation.
Yes, Toei Animation
Okay.
of Japan. After that was The Man Called Flintstone from Hanna-Barbera here in the US of A.
Then we hop over to the USSR for Go There, Don't Know Where.
And that finishes off 1966, because next up is 1967 with Japan and Band of Ninja.
Then we have another Rankin Bass film, Mad Monster Party.
Jack and the Witch is next with Toei Animation again in Japan.
Then we have Walt Disney's 1967's The Jungle Book.
After that, Asterisk the Gull from France and Belgium.
Then we have The Hallis and Bachelors Rudiger from the UK.
Following that is Mr. and Mrs. Cabal's Theater from France.
Toei Animation has a sequel to Cyborg 009 and Cyborg 009 Monster Wars.
Then we get the first film from South Korea, Hongildong.
And directly following that is a sequel to that film, Hopi and Chattelbalwi.
This brings us over to the year 1968 with The World of Hans Christian Andersen from Toei Animation.
Then we go to Great Britain for The Yellow Submarine.
Toei Animation releases another film this year with Horus, Prince of the Sun.
We go back to Belgium and France for a sequel to Asterix the Gull, Asterix and Cleopatra.
Finally, into 1969, we have The Wonderful World of Puss in Boots from Toei Animation.
Another film in Japan is 1001 Arabian Nights.
Also from Toei Animation is Flying Phantom Ship.
We go to the USA for A Boy Named Charlie Brown.
Tintin and the Temple of the Sun is another French and Belgian film, but also with some Switzerland in there.
And then, finally, we end off with the USSR's Mystery Booth.
And there we go. That
That is our
list.
list of movies.
All 25 films we will be talking about during this award ceremony.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I think we're going to be trying to make our lists a little smaller in the future.
Yes,
we
which
can
means
talk
we'll
more
be-
about that at the end of this review.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But now it is time for the trivia section.
Ooh.
I like pulling up some various tidbits and finding out, separating the movies in various
Categories.
categories that don't really matter in the long run, but I find them neat. And I'm going to ask Tennille some questions here to see what she can answer, and more likely what I'm just going to have to say.
All right, so what do you got for me this time?
So, first up, I have movies by country.
Okay.
So, I want to know Which country gave us the most films?
Japan.
Yeah, it's Japan. And I want to know, how many films did they give us? We had 25 total. How many movies came from Japan?
Gosh, it was like half, wasn't it?
Give or take. How many do you think it is?
I'll go with 13.
You're still a little too high. They only had 11.
11. Okay.
Japan only gave us 11 of the 25
11.
films.
11 in 4 years.
Here's another important question. How many of those 11 films were from Toei Animation?
I think only 2 of them weren't, so that would be 9.
Incorrect.
Really?
7.
7?
They gave us 7 because 2 of those were their own unique movies, 1001 Arabian Nights
Right.
and
Band of Ninja.
Band of Ninja.
Uh-huh.
But 2 of those were Rankin Bass films.
Oh, you're including the Rankin Bass ones in there.
I am, because they were...
They were animated in Japan, so
Exactly.
that's fair. But they were animated by Toei Animation.
Were they?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was Toei Animation. Okay,
Yes.
then you were correct. It was 9 of them came through Toei Animation.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well,
I think also other studios, but
Toei Animation
mostly-
was also a part of that.
Right.
Okay. Well, there we go. I had forgotten that part. Thank you for bringing that back up.
Yeah.
Toei Animation's really busy, y'all.
Yeah.
It's really unhealthy.
It's something, all right.
You gotta remember, this is only 4 years, and they worked on
9 movies.
9 movies, and probably some others in there that we didn't get the chance to see. Either way, the next country, how many? Who was it and how many?
The U.S. with 5?
You were correct. It is the U.S., but it's 6.
6, okay.
They had 6 films, 2 of which were Rankin Bass, and only 1 was Disney.
Yeah.
We only had 1 Disney movie in 4 years.
I mean, honestly,
production-
that's...
It's probably
Fine.
better. Their production cycle is significantly slowed down.
Well, yeah, I mean, just take a look, like, there was 3 in all of the 50s?
Was that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Did we?
Or no, there was 4. 4 in all of the 50s.
Okay, and we
It was
had-
Cinderella, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, and Sleeping Beauty.
Okay, and we had 2 or 3 during the first half. I think it was 2. Sword in the Stone.
101 Dalmatians and Sword in the Stone.
Okay, so they had 3 movies total in the 70s.
Yeah.
That seems fine.
Well, especially with the upheaval that is now going through the company
Yeah,
at this point in time
this is what we call the Dark Ages, y'all.
of Disney.
I mean-
although some people are trying to call it something else, and that just boils my biscuits. I am so sick of everybody changing what they call what ages in the Disney films, and I'm just like, But I think that'll have to be a different discussion when we actually get to the 70s.
Disney is dead, y'all. It's gonna get dark, okay? Anyways, what is the next most popular, what is the next country after Japan and USA? We're not going to do all the countries from here, but I really want to see if you know which country brought us the most films. The number 3 country for these years.
Britain or the USSR?
Incorrect. The UK only gives us 2, and the USSR only gives us 2. This country is France.
Oh, France gave us 3.
4.
4.
France gave us 4.
Huh.
2 of those were working with Belgium because they gave us the
For
Asterisk movies.
asterisks, yeah.
And 1 more of those was the Tintin movie, which was also with Belgium, but also with Switzerland.
Right. And what's that 4th one?
They had their own one movie that they just made by themselves. I don't remember what it is.
Oh, come on now.
I'm sorry, it's not on my list.
Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Cabal's Theater.
Ah, there you go.
Of course that's French.
Of course it's French. It's weird.
That movie isn't getting any awards. I'm telling you right now.
What if I give it an award?
You're not.
I didn't. But there you go. Other countries was Belgium, the 3 movies that worked with France, along with 2 from South Korea and the 1 from Switzerland.
Okay.
So it's a pretty basic breakdown. So yeah,
We're really starting to spread out a little bit.
yeah, more and more countries are getting access to animation.
A lot of Japanese films, which I'm totally okay with, but it's an unhealthy number.
It's an unhealthy number, but hey, you know what? In future years, we're probably, or future bunches, I should say,
Yeah.
collections of years, we're probably going to be doing less and less years, which means probably less and less movies from any specific country, but it's probably still going to be an excessive amount from Japan. Forever.
Yeah.
Like, Japan doesn't slow down. If anything, it gets worse.
Most definitely.
It absolutely gets worse. Who am I kidding? Of course it gets worse.
Yeah. All right, got any more fun statistics for me?
Yes.
All right.
All right, so 25 total movies. 19 of those are traditionally animated. The other categories I decided to break this one down into are movies that are not necessarily exclusively, but are a majority either papercraft, stop motion, or live action.
That's actually a decent, ratio of... Because before, it's just been absolutely dominated by traditionally drawn animated films, which, of course, I don't see as a bad thing. But...
I mean, traditional
nice to
animation
have-
is still 19 of the 25.
Right.
But there are some movies in here that have some live action, stop motion, and papercraft. Can you tell me, or make a guess as to my arbitrary selection of these, how many were papercraft?
Well...
Or had papercraft elements of them?
1, 2, 3, 4. 4?
I went with 3.
3.
3. This mainly went for Go There, Don't Know Where, Cabal Theater, and...
Mystery Boof.
Yes, Mystery Boof. Those were the 3 main ones that I did for
Papercraft.
papercraft.
We have the 2 Rankin Bass films that are stop motion.
And I put a third on there. Do you know which one it is? I put a Go There, Don't Go There.
Don't know where.
Because
of the puppets
Yeah,
on
the puppets
stage.
that are the framing
Yeah.
device.
Okay.
I also have live action listed here. I have 2.
Okay, so Daydreamer and Mr. and Mrs. Cabal's Theater.
Oh yeah, that has a small amount in it. But no,
Yeah.
I went with Mystery Boof. Because all of the framing devices, there's interludes of live
of real
action.
people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, again, these are
Super arbitrary stuff. Yeah.
you
okay.
could still make arguments, like you said, Mrs. Cabal's Theater has some elements of
real people
real
acting.
people in there.
Yeah.
And some of these other movies, you could argue they're also traditionally animated, or they're not papercraft, or whatever.
Right.
These are my own, arbitrary
Picks.
picks. I also didn't put Band of Ninja anywhere because
It's more of a storyboard.
Yeah.
I mean, but
It's-
Mystery Boof is also kind of like that.
Yes, yeah.
Not to the extent
Yeah,
Band of
Mystery
Ninja
Boof
is,
still
though.
does have papercraft animation in it. Band of Ninja is quite literally them just
Filming the manga.
filming the manga and dubbing over it.
Not
So-
a great choice.
No, it was an interesting choice though.
Sure.
All right, well, that's all of the trivia that I have here.
Uh-huh.
So, I think we should talk about the categories now.
Okay.
All right, so the first 2 categories we're going to be talking about is, the first one is Best Animated Moments. So not necessarily a specific character or anything like that. But
If you've seen our award shows in the past, we usually have awards listing stuff like best character animation or something like that, and we really didn't feel like that fit this decade very well. So
No.
instead, what we wanted to do is just call out specific moments in movies that we really enjoyed.
Yes.
And talk a little about why we enjoyed it, and then move on.
Agreed. And then after that, we'll be talking about Best Art Direction. So what movies just had really good art direction overall. All right, so first up, best animated moments. The first one I have listed is The Jungle Book. Just like most all of The Jungle Book.
Of the Jungle Book.
Because it's the old crew of the Disney.
9 old men.
The 9 old men. They're just
doing their thing,
producing fantastic, immaculate animation.
But nothing else really compares to it at this point.
Yeah, the other countries and other studios are definitely doing some great stuff, but none of it comes anywhere near this.
Right. As far as just like immaculate character animation goes. And of course, a lot of that has to do with, time, budget, and that kind of stuff. But this is still amazing work.
It's still fantastic, and we want to point it out.
Yeah, and to dismiss it as like, oh, well, of course it looks good. They had the time and money. I'm like, of course they did. So we should still appreciate that.
This is still an awards show. We're still trying to point out what we think is the best movies or elements of these movies.
Right. And yeah, how can you talk about Jungle Book and not mention the animation of Shere Khan, which is just, to this day,
still fantastic
animation of a tiger that feels so solid and real. And
the boppin' music for King Louie.
And all his crazy animation that he can do with his arms and moving them around and using his arms like a jump rope and stuff like that.
It's like he doesn't just move like a human, he moves like an exaggerated cartoon orangutan.
Right.
And how it would probably move. Obviously, it's not a realistic orangutan, but it's still so interesting and well done.
The fact that the animator had to,
was able to get into the headspace.
Right. A lot of these Disney animators worked so close to rotoscope for so long. And now that they've come to this era of Disney animation, they aren't confined to that rotoscope anymore. And it just kind of lets them do crazy things with animation. And sometimes they play it very safe.
Yes.
But when they really go out there, there's some fantastic animation that comes from the dark ages of Disney, and The Jungle Book is no exception. I know some people waft back and forth of whether Jungle Book is still considered Silver Age or Dark Age.
And I think it's the breaking point between the two.
Yeah.
But I don't know where it goes.
Right. And then there's also the animation of Kaa.
Oh, I love the animation of Kaa. Specifically, the sequence of him after he falls out of the tree, quote unquote slithering away, but in this broken, undulated form. It's just mesmerizing. And they saved a lot of budget because they showed it twice, but you get to watch this awesome animation twice.
Yeah.
So that's always a good thing.
And then just the sheer amount of animated chemistry between Baloo and Mowgli. And a lot of that comes from the voice acting of Baloo. Who I can't remember his name right now. I know who the actor is, but he ends up...
It's on screen.
...doing a whole bunch of stuff for Disney. But his vocal performance matched with Frank and Ollie's animation for The Bear and Mowgli is just perfect.
It's so good. That's not to say that this is the only movie we want to talk about here. In fact...
No, I have a giant list of things.
Oh, wow. I actually limited it to just a couple more.
Okay. Go ahead. Or do you want me...
Well, you have a giant list, so how about you start with one of yours, and then we'll go to one of mine, and then one of yours.
All right. Well, the first thing I had to was Jungle Book, and we talked about that. Second, though, I want to mention is the expressions in Rudiger. The facial expressions in Rudiger. The animation is not always amazing, but But there's certain, like, design choices. Like, the way the girls all, like, flow together as one unit.
You know, you stole mine.
Did I?
You stole one of mine, but that's okay. We didn't know.
Uh-huh.
That's the thing about
We make these lists separate.
Yes, I put down Rutgerod. I just think the character movement and characterization on everyone.
And the character design.
Oh yeah, it's just so much fun. From the girls flowing together with their movements to the main character when he goes evil being
The very,
hilariously over top.
very over-the-top animation, and it has expressions to go along with it. It is a joy to watch, and it fits so well with the crazy, frantic, fast pace of the music. Like, it really, really works well.
I
And
love the simplistic Chad character, who I think his name is literally Dick or Richard.
Richard, yeah.
So he's fantastic as well. It's just like this movie has great character movement and just expressions overall.
Yeah, it's one of those films that I had never heard of before
We started this
before we
journey.
started this journey, and like even up until watching it, and it has left probably the biggest impact on me this
This section.
like group of movies. Like, this is definitely the most memorable movie for me out of everything we've watched on this list.
I don't know if it's the same for me, but it's very close.
Okay.
It's very close. My only other one
Uh-huh.
is bringing up Horus, Prince of the Sun.
Yeah.
Because there is fantastic animation all over this. But I specifically want to bring up the festival. And just like the festival of like them catching all the fish and dancing and singing around. It's just so much fun. And like there's just movement everywhere. And it's beautiful to watch this. And then this is followed immediately by the wolves attacking, and the budget literally stops. So you can tell where they put the budget, but where they put the budget looks very nice. I love watching this, and like the lighting is great. It's beautiful.
I actually also have Horus on here, but I mentioned Hilda. And just not necessarily any particular moment of her animation, but just the characterization here is something that we haven't seen so far. And it definitely leaves an impression in the storytelling department.
Yes, I would agree.
All right, and then I just have a few other things that I would like to point out, but
Okay.
I did make quite a bit of a list here.
Well, that's fine.
I really, really like the just tiny additions to Puss in Puss in Boots. They just really make him very charismatic and likable, and he's easily the best part of his movie.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, just a very charming character design with decent animation, just all around very good. I also wanted to make a note to give some credit to Yellow Submarine in that it is very experimental and memorable for that regard.
Yeah. I
Not
would agree.
really my thing, but it's definitely worth mentioning.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then also I wanted to mention the USSR's cutout animation in Go There, Don't Know Where and Mystery Buff is so interesting, and they've gotten much better at it since the last time we talked about their cutout animation last time.
Yeah.
It's just, you don't see this animation style very often, and it's one of those that I always feel is very, very limited and very, like, you're putting a lot of restrictions on what you can do, and I think they found a way to work around it very well.
It really works for them, and
Yeah.
they just keep doing it better and better, like you said.
Yeah, it's just really impressive. And then my last one is that dang intro from 1001 Arabian Nights.
Alden!
Alden! Here comes the man named Alden! I mean, the music with the animation is just very striking. It definitely leaves an impression.
It's true.
And it is something that I laughed when I saw it, and I would laugh if I saw it again. But like, it's still in my head. I'm still thinking about it.
And it's a pretty well made walk cycle.
Sequence. Yeah.
So, yeah, you can't really fault it for that.
Uh-huh. But yes, that would be all of my best animated moments
Okay.
selections.
All right. Well, I think it's time for us to move on to the next category, which is Best Art Direction. I have 3. 2 that I think are exceedingly well done, and 1 that's a runner-up.
All right. I have 3 as well, and I wonder how different our lists are going to be here.
I could see this one being pretty different, honestly.
Yeah.
I will say I automatically excluded some specific things because I excluded Band of Ninja, the Asterisk movies, the Charlie Brown movie, the Tintin movie. It's because they're all directly just copying the art direction from their respective comics, or literally just a picture of the manga.
In the case of Band of Ninja, yeah.
So I felt like, yes, of course their art direction is going to be on point because they're literally just copying the art direction from their source material. Mm-hmm. So I automatically discounted those. They're all very well done, and they all keep their aesthetic correct. Mm-hmm. So I didn't choose any of those.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
Because I have Charlie Brown on my list.
Okay.
And I put it on there because while you are absolutely correct, these movies do have it fairly easy in the art direction department because they are copying the style. The Peanuts style is not easy to copy. And as a comic, it really shouldn't work in animation, like at all. But somehow they made it work. Like there's a lot of cheats and stuff they have to do in order to make the movement of the kids seem natural, like for them to put a hat on their head.
I guess this is true.
Or anything like that. And for them to still capture the Charles Schulz style and make it appealing to animation to the point where a lot of these TV budget animations are iconic, like the Peanuts dance and specific
less so
moments
from
like
this
that.
movie, but yes.
Right. But the fact that they made that work is super impressive to me.
Okay.
So that's why I have it down as one of my best picks for art direction.
Okay. Well, that's pretty fair.
And when it comes to the other films, why I don't think they quite make that cut is that they did make sacrifices to make it work for animation that removes it from the comic. Like, I remember the difference between looking at the artwork for Asterix the Gull, the comics, and Asterix the Gull, the movie, was like night and day. And it's like, it's still the same character design, it's still the idea, but like, the artwork just doesn't have the weight to it that it does in the comic. It's not as beautifully illustrated as it is in the comic.
Okay, yeah, I guess you are fair.
And same thing comes with Tintin.
Okay. Either way, this one I feel is not quite as high as the other two.
Okay.
But I went with Mystery Booth. Because this movie had a very specific idea of how it wanted to illustrate every single point of its movie.
Yeah.
And it hits it out of the ballpark.
Yeah,
The villains are cartoonishly evil looking. They're like cartoonish.
Every art
bumbling
decision has intent.
Yes. And it's like, I think this is very well done. Is it a cohesive art style? No. But that was on purpose.
Right.
Because the working people very clearly look so different from everybody else.
Right.
So I think they chose what they wanted to do with this movie and did it immaculately well.
Yeah.
But I still don't think their art direction, so it's not cohesive, but I wanted to bring this movie up anyways.
I mean, that's a really good pick. Arguably, taking our own viewpoint out of this, and if you were just trying to look at it as objectively as possible, you could definitely make an argument for it being the best art direction.
Yeah.
Because it just, every decision made about the art is made to make some kind of point that also goes with the narrative of the story.
Okay, yes. Yes. All right, what is one of yours?
Another one of mine is Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, that was on my list.
Yeah,
They knew what they were doing here.
Yeah,
They
it's
wanted
like,
a psychedelic imagery.
right. Like, I can't think of a film that better encapsulates this time than
Yellow Submarine.
this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And what better way to capture that psychedelic feeling than through animation? Like, you can't film this. You need to do it through animation to make it work. It is art in the most art sense of the word.
The most artsy sense of the word, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, that's why it's one of my 2 winners.
And another one?
My other winner, Mad Monster Party.
I mean, I guess you're not wrong.
Yeah, I know. I don't like the movie.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a fan of Rankin Bass,
Yeah.
but they chose a dark comedy horror style for their all of their puppetry and their set and everything.
And it really does work with their janky puppet animation.
Yeah, what they wanted to do, they did it very well, and it's the reason that it's my other winner.
All right. That's...
Again,
I won't
I
argue with
personally
you.
do not like this movie,
Yeah.
but I feel like the art direction is on point.
No, I mean, you're right. When you're right, and you should say it. My other one is Jungle Book. I
Okay.
mean, Disney is just naturals at putting together cohesive, beautiful-looking films, and the way, like, there's... Even though this has less of a budget than, Sleeping Beauty or 101 Dalmatians, like, this still has a decent budget behind it, and the shots of the jungle and the way the animated characters interact with the background and stuff is super impressive. And overall, the animators have just gotten used to animating, like, what they need to. It's just a very cohesive team.
Okay. Yeah. I figured you were going to put it on there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, it's not bad, but I feel like these other films are, like, better,
Or-
more iconically cohesive.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. And those are our subcategories. Or
Right.
our specific categories. We're now going to go into the animation categories, like the big animation categories of, like, specific themes and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But first, I feel like we should bring up 2 movies that these aren't necessarily like awards, but these
No.
are 2 of the most influential movies from this time period.
Influential in the sense that they've literally changed the animation landscape as we know it into something completely different.
From them
And-
existing.
Yeah. And you can pinpoint it back to these 2 movies
Mm-hmm.
that made such radical changes that other people tried to emulate going forward.
Yeah.
And these 2 films are Horace, Prince of the Sun, and The Yellow Submarine.
Horace, Prince of the Sun shows such a dramatic shift in storytelling and general work ethic for the Japanese animation industry that while it was only in theaters for literally 2 weeks
Uh-huh.
or 10 days or whatever it
10
was,
days.
it became a sleeper hit and people would go back to this movie over and over again once it got re-released, and this just sent ripples through the animation industry over there, helping set at least better animation work ethic and like better for all of the animators and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, this I don't feel is too much of a stretch to really call it Japan's Snow White, where there's suddenly a serious story being told that people can look at it and take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And it's enjoyable for everyone. And like it makes the whole medium seem more legit and serious going forward. And that's not to say that you can't have fun with lighthearted comedies that are aimed towards younger kids too. I enjoy them. Everyone enjoys them from time to time.
But this is broadening the horizons of what animation
Can
do and can be.
Yeah, exactly. And that's huge. I mean, seeing this film, I felt like I was watching something like, wow, this is like a testing grounds for all of Miyazaki films going forward, which it kind of is.
It is, because he was one of the major people behind that film.
Right. And then Yellow Submarine, man.
And like, wow, how can it not influence
Right. Disney has been the main cornerstone of
Western animation,
you know, and everything they do influences the market and what is going on. And this is the one point in time
that
where
a different studio came out and like, hey, we're doing something different and weird that is in no way, shape, or form like Disney.
And that's not to say that Disney, you know, obviously didn't continue to make, you know, popular movies, because of course they did. They're Disney. But like, this hit the artists, the pop culture zeitgeist, or whatever you want to call it.
The pop culture, I don't want to call it subculture, but counterculture?
I don't know. But
I don't know.
It hit audiences hard. It made a lot of money, and people in the art industry and animation industry saw it as a chance to finally break free and do something that wasn't like what Disney did.
It's not just children's movies anymore.
Right.
And we're going to see a lot of that going into the 70s.
A lot. So many. Oh, God.
It's not necessarily a good thing, but it definitely influenced animation.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. How good it is kind of varies on your own opinion of all of this. And I make vague hand gesturing noises because I don't know what to call it. It's just all a lot.
And honestly, I haven't seen a lot of the movies that are heavily influenced by this culture, so I personally am not going to make any judgments on how I feel about it until we've seen them.
Yeah, 70s are a time, man.
Anyways, those are just two really influential movies that we wanted to point out.
Arguably the most important movies of this entire decade, including the first half of the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to look back at the first half of the 60s to see if there's anything else that stood out, but I don't think there is.
I mean, I think the only other, like, important film that came out in that first part, if I remember correctly, it's been a while.
It's been like half a year.
Right.
We watch a lot of movies. We forget what they are.
But like the only thing that comes to mind is 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah, and that was only just for like a technical standpoint.
Right.
So that wasn't even that much.
Right.
All right. Either way, I think it's time to get into the 4 big categories that we have separated all movies into. The big award
winners, the big categories, the big macho ones.
The ones that everybody brags about getting the lizard and cat animation trophies for. You know.
The trophies we don't give out. They're just, they're fictional trophies.
And of course, because it is a new collection of movies, we have completely new categories.
Right.
Because we try to find the best categories for the movies that we have to talk about.
Right.
So every collection of movies is different. We can't just do the same groupings.
And boy, was this a weird one to try and figure out groupings for.
Because this group of movies, they're just like, we're doing different things now.
Yeah.
We're not doing the same thing that we've been doing for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
We're not just doing fairy tales and book adaptations anymore. We're doing different things, so we're going to have to categorize them differently.
Yep.
And
so, our four
categories, go ahead.
Our 4 categories are comedy, fantasy and fairy tales, action adventure, and musicals.
All right. So, without further ado, let's get into the first category, and I will list you the movies that we put in this category. Obviously, this is our opinions. Your opinions might be different what movies go in which categories, but this is how we are splitting them up.
Yes.
And in alphabetical order, the comedy movies are A Boy Named Charlie Brown, Asterisk the Gaul, Asterisk and Cleopatra, Mad Monster Party, Mr. and Mrs. Cabal's Theater, Mystery Boof, The Hallis and Bachelor Rudiger, and The Man Called Flintstone. Obviously, not all of these are haha, laugh out loud funny comedies. Some of these are more of dark comedies or satirical movies, but they all fit in the comedy genre.
Right. And as such, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around all of these at once.
Mileage may vary on laughs.
Yeah. But for me, there was only one clear choice.
Okay, I had one, and then I had a runner-up.
All right.
So I'll start with my runner-up.
All right,
and
what's
then
your
we'll move
runner-up?
up from there. My runner-up is Mystery Boof. Not a funny movie,
No.
but it is...
As a satire, it's very poignant.
It's very poignant satire. It executes on everything you want to do so well. It was an enthralling watch. I really enjoyed that movie. So that's why I put it in there as my number 2. It's not
Okay.
my number 1, though. What is your number 1? And only?
Redigroy.
Yeah. Yes, The Hallis and Bachelor Rudiger.
I just enjoyed this movie so much.
It was so much fun.
It was so much fun, and I'll be real, like, a lot of these movies were not fun. Not fun to get through. And so to get to Redigroy and just have it be such a good time was so nice, and I would gladly go back and watch this again.
Absolutely. That was also my choice. I think I already said that, but yes.
Yeah.
It was the best comedy out of all of these movies.
Yeah.
It was
It
funny.
made me laugh consistently.
Yes, it was funny, enjoyable, entertaining, and I highly suggest people check it out if they haven't already.
In the fantasy and fairy tale category, Sean, you have our list?
Yes, in alphabetical order, our fantasy and fairy tale movies are Alice of Wonderland in Paris, Go There, Don't Know Where, Hong Gildong, Hopi and Chattelbawi, Horace, Prince of the Sun, 1001 Arabian Nights, The Daydreamer, The Wonderful World of Puss in Boots, The World of Hans Christian Andersen. This is quite the list.
Of, again, very different films.
But this is where we put all of the films that are direct adaptations of fairy tales in the general fantasy genre as a whole, things like that. That's what these movies are. And sometimes there's some in here that are like, well, they're technically fantasy characters, but nothing really happens, so they'll go here.
Right, like Alice of Wonderland in Paris.
Yeah.
Is one that we debated back and forth a little bit on where we should put it.
Because
but
it doesn't really fit anywhere very well, but this is the best place for it.
I mean,
Spoilers, it's not winning.
no. For me, there's only one clear winner. Again, do you have another runner-up?
Yes, of course.
All right, what's your runner-up?
My runner-up is The Wonderful World of Puss in Boots.
It was a cute movie.
This movie was hella charming, very cute, lots of fun. It's not highly sophisticated. You don't really need to use your brain at all, but it was just a lot of fun to watch. The antics of it are really good.
Yeah, I would agree. You know what? And looking on this, it would probably be my runner-up as well. I think it's pretty clear what our winner of this one is.
Horace, Prince of the Sun.
Like,
Of course it is.
it's leagues ahead of all of these other movies.
Oh, yeah. It's so well done. It's like emotional. It has amazing action. The animation is fantastic, except for where the budget disappeared for like 30 seconds or a minute.
I mean, the animation disappears a couple of times.
But like it tells a story and it knows what it's doing, and
Yeah, it's almost unfair to put it up against all these other films.
but like it's an action it is a fantasy film.
Right.
And it is so good at that category. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Watch this movie.
Yeah. For our action-adventure category, we have...
some repeat movies. I think this is the first time we've had some repeats, but there are some movies that just, they fit in both sections, and you can't not.
Right.
Anyways, action-adventure, we have Band of Ninja, Cyborg 009, Cyborg 009, Monster Wars, Flying Phantom Ship, Hong Gil-dong, Hopi and Chattelbawi, Jack and the Witch, and Tintin and the Temple of the Sun. These are your good old, we're doing it actions, we're doing adventure, we're doing lots of fighting, but not a lot of anything else. Mm-hmm. Or it could be more of your adventure films that we'll see in future years, like an Indiana Jones film or something, aka Tintin.
Right. I don't have a winner for this film. I have...
This category?
No. I have 2 films that I said, well, I guess somebody has to win.
I agree! I didn't feel like any of these movies really were like, yes, this was a good film. But if I had to choose which one I felt was, well, that was pretty okay.
These aren't even films I would want to go back and watch. These are just ones that I was like, I mean, if I had to watch 2 over again,
these would be the ones.
These would be the 2 I would pick.
Okay. My second, my lower of the 2,
Okay.
Cyborg 009. Just the first one, not the second one.
Okay.
The second one just feels like a lot of a retread of the first one. The second one feels like it does a better job of obviously establishing all the characters, and that's felt more interesting than just pure action that the second one does. That's about all I can say about it.
Okay. I guess my lesser of the 2 would be Hong Gil-dong.
Okay, that was actually my first.
Oh, really?
Because we did have quite a bit of fun watching this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was decent, especially for, was it South Korea?
South Korea.
Yeah, South
This
Korea's
is the first South Korean
film. Like, the animation's
real bad.
Really, really bad. But
timing is a thing they haven't figured out yet.
The heart is there. There was a lot of care taken into telling a good story.
Yes.
And like, I was invested in the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it did not look the best. Like, and that's saying a lot, because getting past surface level this looks bad can be really hard for an audience.
Absolutely. And that's why it was my number 1 out of this category.
Well, okay, then my number 1 was Jack and the Witch.
Okay.
It has its good moments, it has its bad moments. Sometimes the good are really good, sometimes the bad are really, really annoying. But, like, it's fine, I guess.
It's fine. Constant action. It exists. It's your run-of-the-mill toy animation when they're not carrying a whole lot, but still putting some effort in.
Right.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. As you can tell, we're really passionate about this category.
Oh, yeah. And our last category, musical. We only have 3 in here. We have The Alice and Bachelor Reddigroy, The Jungle Book, and The Yellow Submarine. Oh boy.
This is
a hard-hitting category because I would arguably say that these 3 movies are some of the best movies out of this entire section. Mm-hmm. Now the real question is, how did we rank them? Because you gotta remember, this is our opinion.
Our opinion, and I'm pretty sure that just for the fact that it's a musical, people are gonna have opinions on what we say here, but, like, I don't feel bad because it's my opinion.
All right, so I guess seeing as there's only 3, we can easily say, we'll go in order from bottom to top. What is your least best of these 3?
Yellow Submarine.
Agreed.
I don't care about the Beatles.
I don't either. They have good music, I guess, but I just don't seek it out. It's not a thing for me.
Like, I don't hate the Beatles.
No.
I would gladly listen to it in the background while doing stuff or whatever, but like you said, I don't seek it out. And it doesn't make the film for me, and the animation doesn't make the film for me. There's just nothing about it that appeals to me personally.
Yes, it has that stunning art direction, and like this is a movie that is definitely very iconic and has influenced animation. But for us personally, it did nothing for us.
Right.
All right, so second up,
Rhodagroy.
I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
I love it.
It's a lot of fun, but on a technical aspect, The Jungle Book just beats it out of the water.
Yeah, it's like, I absolutely love it, but it's not The Jungle Book.
Yeah, so The Jungle Book is the winner of the musical category, and you might be saying, why is The Jungle Book in the musical category? And I'll say, where else does it belong?
I mean...
It could kind of go in the comedy section, or kind of go in the fantasy fairy tale because it's based on a book, or it could go in the action adventure because that kind of happens in there too, but like overall, I think
musical
is probably the best.
I think the argument I gave for why it should be musical is because the music is the most iconic part of The Jungle Book.
Yeah, I would agree, because that's the part that most people remember nowadays.
Yeah, it's like Bare Necessities and
the monkey song, Human.
Yeah.
Human too. Ooh, ooh.
I Want to Be Like You.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like those two songs are both
so ingrained in culture now.
Right, and it's got other music too. It's also pretty good, but
except for the Vulture song that no one remembers exists. Yeah. I can't even tell you how it goes.
It's like a barbershop quartet or whatever.
That's not very good or iconic.
But I mean, it's also got the Ka song, Trust in Me, and then the song at the end, which I always really liked. But you know, it's kind of one of those.
Go fetch a pail of water.
Yeah.
But either way, not just for its musical aspects, I think this movie just is an overall better package than the other two movies.
Mm-hmm. The highs of Rhodagroy are really high, but the lows do bring it down.
And it just can't quite get to the point of the Disney animation.
Right.
That's just how it be sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go. That is everything except for our final last category we haven't talked about until right now. And that is, what movie do we think is the absolute best movie out of these 4 years? Which movie do we feel has the best overall package and or was
What is the best of the best?
The best of the best. I have two. No, I have one. I have just the one.
I have 3 picks because I essentially thought of it as movies that I would gladly watch again.
Okay. I eliminated it down to what I personally feel is the absolute best movie. Full stop.
Okay.
Horus, Prince of the Sun, is my choice. This movie I had never seen before, and it blew all of my expectations out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is just so good.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, watch it. I would gladly watch this again. The characters are engaging, the story is engaging, the animation is really good. Obviously, there are some down points there, but, like, it's a very well-made, serious film, and, like, that's something we just haven't seen a lot of yet at this point, and it's just so good.
Mm-hmm. I actually almost didn't put Horus on my list.
Really?
Yeah, and my reasoning behind that was because this is such... You know how when an artist does something the first time, it's a little rough.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do it again, and it's better.
Yeah.
And they do it again, and it's better.
Mm-hmm.
Horus is that first attempt at doing this.
Okay, and you're seeing that as this is Miyazaki's first
attempt at this epic fantasy, suck you into the world and character drama animated film.
All right.
And it's good. But being someone living in 2019, I know there's better. And so, like, if I had to pick a Miyazaki movie to watch,
It's probably not going to be Horus.
It probably won't be Horus because I could watch Kiki, or I could watch Nausicaa, or I could watch Castle in the Sky, or I could watch Howl's Moving Castle.
Or Spirited Away.
Or Spirited Away.
Or the really sad one about the planes. Something about wind?
The Wind Rises.
The Wind Rises.
Yep.
Yeah, there's
That's
a lot.
A good movie. Yeah. Yeah. That's not so much fantasy, but yeah.
No, but like just these are all excellently made films.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is on my list.
Okay.
But I almost didn't.
Okay.
My 2 picks are Jungle Book and Rutagroi.
Yeah. I mean, they're both really good.
I just really like both these movies, and I think an important thing to mention with Jungle Book is my appreciation for it has become greater after going through this project.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard, being a person in 2019, looking back on Jungle Book and seeing what was so special about it.
Yes.
Because we've got animated films nowadays that just
obliterate the Jungle Book.
Give the Jungle Book wedgies and steal its lunch money. Like,
it's true.
But for what it was at the time, it's a fantastic movie.
I agree. It's real good.
Mm-hmm. And then Rutagroi. I mean, I've said it multiple times now, but it's
so much fun.
So much fun. Everybody needs to watch it. What a sleeper hit. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I think that wraps things up.
That wraps up the 60s. I wish I could say that.
Oh man.
But for in future cases, this does wrap up the 60s.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it basically does.
It wraps up the 60s. For people that are watching this as it comes out, we've actually been given many, I want to say like 4 or 5 more movies from the first half of the 60s.
Yeah.
We had various patrons or other people that were able to find these movies, so while they won't be a part of the award ceremony for the first half of the decade, we are going to go back and we're going to watch those next. So that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to talk about the TV shows of the 70s.
Right. Which will be next on this playlist.
Yes.
So, if you're wondering what TV shows we are covering...
Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list of all TV shows of the decade. Are you kidding? We would die.
No. We're just watching the ones that I feel are the most important for the time period.
For America, specifically.
Yeah.
Because we don't know enough about the other countries.
So Rocky and Bullwinkle, The Flintstones, Johnny Quest, and Underdog.
Okay. Sounds good.
And also going forward in the 70s, we have a little announcement to make. We will be splitting the decades up
by significantly more than just half and half.
Yeah. As this project goes forward, there is more and more movies to cover, and we don't want to get to the end of a decade and have like 100 movies to go over in some review show.
Because the award ceremony would never end.
Our brains, and more importantly, the space on our computers could not handle it.
It's true.
So we want to keep the movie award ceremonies to about 20-ish films.
20, maximum like 25.
Right. And just looking forward in our list in the 70s, it's looking like our first category is just going to be from 1970 to 1972.
So that's 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
things are slowing down.
It's slowing down, which means we're getting lots and lots more films from the same few years.
Yeah.
Eventually, we'll get to the point where it's literally 1 year per award ceremony.
Yeah.
It'll be like a real award ceremony.
Yeah, for the year.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it for this episode. So join us back here next time for more Animation Pilgrimage, whatever it may be.
Yeah, see you guys then.
But when completely rated, bad baronet am I, that I am what he stated, I'll recklessly deny. When I'm a bad bot, I will tell taradiddles. I'll play a bad part on the falsest of fiddles.